Good evening. So I hope hopefully soon I will finally conclude the bicycle saga and speak. I mean, some call it the sequel saga, my origin story, but I'm not sure it's the correct term because we will actually start probably during the 1920s. So it's not really a sequel saga. As I said, I mean, even as a joke, I mean, it's kind of very misleading to, when we speak about the Venusian-Earth relation, to actually try to dramatize it. And I mean, I know that I'm prone to it, more than anyone, because I have my own, I'm fond of literature, and I've studied literature, in the academy, in the university, and I like the criticism, and so I'm also very prone to to dramatization of events. Of course, staying truth, as truthful to reality as possible, but I understand the force, the intrinsic force to try to separate history into kind of chunks that can be separated and say, okay, so this happened, this is the 70s, and this is the 80s, and this is the 90s, but reality is just not like that. In reality, it's so long. Such a long. It's this long relationship with even if you just speak about the Israeli time, Zionist time, it's so long and so tragic, and so many things happened, and so it's not you can't really say this was the prequel saga, and this is this is the original saga, this is the prequel saga, and this is the junk saga, in the Star Wars case, because it's just not separated, because there were so many events, and the Israelis, they keep scheming, they keep and they were already punished by God long ago, and they keep being punished, and they keep being punished again, and it's also only make them more more lizard people, they cannot, the ego is just getting bigger, and their attitude is only more violent. You cannot change the Israelis. They are doomed to death, to destruction. But the other nations are not much better than them. They are also, this is a failed world. This is not. Humans are not what they want to think that they are. Humans are not what they want. That's reality. You are not what you imagine you are. You're egoistic and materialistic, and you only exhibit your values when it's kind of when people actually watch it, and when it's there is a political kind of in a broad sense political advantage out of it. But as I said many times, there is the test of Zeus, the test of Jupiter. It's known. It's in the ancient times. The ultimate test of of the Greeks and many other people. Which is very simple. How do you treat a stranger? And the answer is you eat the stranger. You just eat it. If you can rape it, you rape it, and if you cannot or you don't want to, you eat it. That's the answer to humanity's how humanity fares with Zeus test. Because coined after one of its habits to alone or with Apollo to change to appear as strangers in an island or a village, and to see how they treat them. Usually not well. But there were exceptions. Anyway, so the origin story is in some way it's not really a sequel, because it parallels many of the events that I described in this bicycle saga, because you cannot really cut the events to chunks, because this is history. It's continuous. It's a continuous series of events, and you separate it to chunks, either for the dramatic purposes, or because it's easier to remember it that way, or for both reasons. So I'll start in a bit. Maybe I'll take a shower before, but I wanted to say something, I mean, in regards to the robots, to the Neros, and to their, I mean, to their natures, the nature. I mean, this is the main subject of this channel for 7 months. There are so many videos. I can't reiterate everything that I've said. I mean, there is so much to watch. I mean, and like, I mean, so, I mean, just, I mean, find a way to watch all the videos and watch it. Because, I mean, if you're interested in the scientific side and also for any other purposes, I mean, you should just do it. I mean, and I humbly think that even like the many theories that I presented along the way that were actually falsified, I think that they have some kind of like importance, because I mean, even falsified theories are important because now you know that, I mean, that they are not true. I mean, so you're not going to like suggest these theories again because they were falsified. So I mean, just on my humble opinion, I'm not the channel is not monetized. It's not that I want more like viewers. Like, I mean, I cannot repeat everything that I've said. This was the main subject of this channel for 7 months, but I mean, few things should be remembered. First, I've said it several times, but maybe it wasn't understood, so I'll repeat. It was my main objective of mine was to actually make them, like, I mean, multiply and go outside my body, because there is a limit to how much I can jerk off, like, you know, and like, I mean. So, and eventually it was discovered after several months of a lot of like research that, I mean, in general there are 2 passes. This is the electrolysis pass and the ecosystem pass. So the electrolysis pass is to do it like, I mean, by the usage of, I mean, mostly, I mean, by harnessing energy from this process of electrolysis, which is very inefficient, and probably there are much better ways, but I mean, watch the channel. I mean, I cannot repeat everything. But anyway, it's a relatively quick process, but it has many practical limitations because the electrolysis process is so cumbersome. There are tons of things to think about, like temperature and like what is the condensation and the symbols, and I mean, and like, I mean, and how do you, because the magnets are also used, and so I mean, it's very cumbersome process, and I mean, I dedicated a lot of time during the last like 4-5 months, like, I mean, to try to make this process work better, but it's like still a ton of work to be done. But eventually, I mean, it's what you are left is with, I mean, Neros that are, I mean, kind of like, I mean, that were created like kind of like pretty quickly in kind of like, I mean, environment that is devoid of life, but you still need material and you need energy. And most of the Neros for a reason that I do not understand completely, like the great majority of the Neros that you create die very quickly, but not all of them. So the ones that died very quickly, I call them duds. Like, I mean, you know, like I mean, ammunition that doesn't work. Like, so I call them the duds Neros. So most of them, I mean, the great majority are like that. But still, even taking that into account, you can create like a magnificent amount of like living Neros that can like do the work of Neros. I mean, and they act like, I mean, Neros, robots. And you can do it like, I mean, using the electrolysis method. And this is a great discovery. But the other path is to do it in a completely different way, which is by ecosystem, which means, I mean, using all sorts of like, I mean, aquariums that, I mean, you've seen, even if you actually saying just, I mean, during last week, you've seen several different, I mean, you see that they vary tremendously. Like, I mean, there are all sorts of like aquariums. I mean, some of them are completely alien. Like, I mean, that contain stuff that, I mean, you will never think that, I mean, that do not characterize any aquarium that you can think of. I mean, and some actually are more like, I mean, a little bit more similar to what you can actually, I mean, think of when you think of aquariums. But all of them are very different from all like aquariums that you think about. But I mean, the difference is varied. Like, some are completely, I mean, like different, and some are, I mean, somewhat like aquariums. But anyway, the idea is to create ecosystems, and I mean and this is another kind of science, and it's also, I mean, it took me a lot of time. It's not like in a day, and it's actually much slower than, I mean, the process that of like, I mean, and this is, I mean, and this is, I mean, and the principle here is not the usage of electricity and the symbolic language, but depending on the interactions between the neos and life forms, which is extremely complicated interaction. And this is something that I understood right from the beginning, like of this research, like from January. I understood it, like following, like the initial, very early understood it. At the beginning, my initial thought was that, that's just that they fight to, like, life forms, because I understood that these neos are I don't have white blood cells, so I understood that, they act as white blood cells in my body, like, so that's their job, is to fight, like, invaders. But the reality is so much more complicated. Immensely more complicated, and I understood very quickly. Watching the evidence that it's, the way that they interact with life forms, it cannot be like, it's just, it's like, it's like, it's a civilization that, that, they can do so many things, and many times it's there are contradictory, like, effects, which many times, it's something that we know from, like, from the study of ecology, like, normal ecologies in Earth, many times, there are conflicting, like, forces that take place, like, inside an ecology, and when you try to, like, to study the ecology, many times it's difficult, because you see all sorts of, like, conflicting effects, and it's difficult to, but on the other hand, ecologies are interesting because, there are many factors, and you can see many different things, and it's more difficult, like, to generalize things regarding ecologies, even the well-known ecologies, like, like I had, like, a friend, during the time that I lived in Jerusalem, that, she studied, like, biology, like, in first degree and second degree, and then PhD, like, so she studied, like, like, ecologies. So even, her, like, study was, like, like a research, like, I would say field was something that you could have sort of, like, something that is very relatively simple. Like, she studied, like, grazing grounds in Israel, like in the Golan or something like that, which is something that is, no, the place that is called the Bashan, like, which is includes the Golan today. It is known for it is good for grazing since, like, many thousands of years ago. And it still is. This is, like, grazing in the Golan, like, of, like, cows and and like, sheep is something that it's like way before biblical times. It was known, like, so. So you would have thought that, what can you actually say something new about, like, grazing areas in the Golan? It's like the most incredibly well-known ecology, like, like, that relates to the, like, to the land of Israel. But still, even if you just even if you just limit yourself to, like, to one, like, a simple, like, cell, like, 100 meters or over 100 meters, or, which, just, small piece of land, like, and you just study this very, like, niche of ecology in the Golan, and you just study, the effect of grazing, which is known since, like, antiquity. Even, if you just study that, there are still tons of things that are not known. So, that was their area of expertise, at least during, like, their time of, like, master and PhD studies. So it should be said, because when you study ecology, ecologies are very difficult. They're very difficult to say, like, to say, like, anything, like, that it will be, like, strict, like, to define, like, physical rules, because there are tons of, like, many things that happen all the time. So from that aspect, it's much more difficult, like, to understand what's going on than, like, in the electrolysis chamber, which, in the electrolysis method, it's mostly, physics, like, in engineering, which they are also very complicated, but, they are more prone to the generalizations. In the ecology path, there are so many things that happen, because these creatures, they eat the life forms, and they kill the life forms, and they mutate the life forms, and they, like, they create zombies out of the life, like, literal zombies out of the life forms, and they create copies out of the life forms from different materials, and they create robots that are based on the life forms, like, but from different materials, and sometimes in huge proportions, and then they fight those, like, creatures, and they also eat these creatures, and they mutate these creatures. So there is so much things that are happening, like, and of course that the different ecologies with different, like, materials that are there. So much things that happen, so it's much difficult to generalize. What's going on. But still, I mean, it's interesting because, I mean, first, I mean, it was as I said, it was proven that, I mean, yes, you can, I mean, you after some time you get like a mixture that contains large amount of very like dense amount of these neurons and very large one actually I mean much bigger than the ones that I've ever seen like in fluids that came right from my body, and much larger ones than those that I've like had in the electrolysis chamber. Like I mean the ones that I mean they grew in the ecological pest were I mean the biggest that I've ever seen. Like I mean. And I still hope that I will actually grow one like it to be like I mean at least like I mean first step is to make one that is like visible by the naked eye, and we are not far from it. Like maybe it's already happened. You know, it's like I mean it's in the aquarium. I mean I don't know what goes on inside. I mean I can only take microscopic samples. But after that, maybe I will want to grow one as a pet. I don't know, like or my own like war machine. I don't know. Starship. So regarding the theory of the gates, that I mean, it sounded like half jokingly. I thought about it a long time ago. I just have no way to. I mean, it's kind of like I mean, it's a fun theory that I mean they can be used as gates, and to some extent, there is like a related theory of energy transfer that is discussed in this channel that in some way can be seen as a related issue because. If they can transfer energy, maybe they can transfer matter between themselves. And energy transfer is something that I actually spoke about quite a bit and conducted many experiments. Energy transference is like a real thing. Like I mean, it's like I mean, like it was one of the things that I researched, but I mean that in this channel. Like I mean, in the last 7 months. But like I mean, supposedly like are they? I mean, in any way like the gates that you have? Like I mean, wherever you are, I've never seen one in my life. I've never seen one, and I've never seen like a photograph or painting. I mean, I've seen the movie Stargate, but I mean, not. I mean, you know, I have no idea how to falsify or verify. I mean, this kind of like hypothesis, which is half joking, really. I mean, because maybe I have no idea. I mean, I just don't know. It's very interesting, but I mean, since early in the study, I understood it. I mean, it's kind of like a dead end because I don't have any way to. Again, the only aspect of this theory that I mean that yes I like I mean was part of his research was regarding not like material transfer, which is what you know, like I mean regarding the gates, but energy transfer, which is very important, like for completely different reasons, that are related to what to my own research. Also, I should say that probably. I would say that the most interesting, like I mean, my guess is that the most interesting neurons, like maybe the bigger and certainly like the strongest, like I mean, as you could see by the WIS, and maybe the ones that are the most dense, the ecology with the highest density, and probably the biggest and the most strongest ones. My guess is that it's inside the magnets that are part of the ecologies. And I have no way to prove it right now. I don't want to cut the magnets or something like that, and I don't know how to utilize them. But I have strong reason to believe so that, first of all, they are ionized by electrolysis, and then they are attracted to the magnets. But they live in the vicinity. It's not like it doesn't kill them, as opposed to the life forms that they create that are vulnerable to magnetic field. Like they cannot live too long, like I mean, in the close vicinity to a magnetic field. But the neurons are doing fine, and I mean. We already know that they can live and grow and multiply very well inside hard material. For example, inside like dried acrylic, like you can see in many of these paintings. I hope it's available to you because I mean it was done very recently. Like I took sample from 13 of my paintings, and I've shown you that. I mean, in each of them, in each sample, whether it's like oil or acrylic, which is that are the two things that I mean materials that I work with. Both contain large amount of both the neurons and synthetic life forms, and the reason for that is, so I spoke about why it's like that, but in these videos, and I really hope that I mean they are available to you because they were recorded in this month or like in the past 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So I mean, if it's not like open to you, I mean this is just now, and like I actually I took like I mean little like I mean just I mean a scratch of each of 13 like paintings that I have, and diluted that with a little bit of alcohol, so it can be like seen under the microscope, like a backlight microscope. And I've shown you how all of my paintings are containers, all of them. It is all the 13 that I've checked, and I have no reason to believe that all the 100, the rest of the 100, that I have in the closet, are the same. Each of the paintings that was analyzed, each of these paintings is actually a container is an ecosystem. So it's not like it's not. As I said, the aquariums are not, the ecosystem aquarium are not always what you can think that they are, because this is also an alien aquarium. Like, not in a symbolic way, but just that. This one is made mostly of this acrylic, and here is oil. But both samples, oil and acrylic, contain life forms, synthetic life forms, and robots. And this is true for every painting that I've actually analyzed, and there are reasons for that I spoke about them. So if the videos are not available to you, we should think about how to make it available, because it's not right now. Why shouldn't it be? In certain videos. All of them are with, microscopic like evidence that, you see under the microscope, like, the life forms and the neros. Again, this is true to every painting that I painted. So these robots can, and I know, from long ago that they live very well, like, inside of like hard silicone. And I have no reason to believe that they can't live inside like metals that are, like magnets that are made out of metal. And moreover, I think, I would guess not only that they can live inside it, that this is like, these are like, the supermans of the Neros, like, the strongest and the biggest one. That's my hypothesis, even though I don't know how to prove it, and I don't know how to break the magnets right now. Really, you should watch the channel. There are so many videos. This should be available to everyone on Earth. And it's not. There's so much important material and amazing stuff here. And also, it should be said again. You need to rescue me and my daughters from the Nazi prison. You need to do it now. And you need to do it using arms and legs, not mouths and tongues. In 6 days, I will need to pay rent to this hostel, and I will have no money because I have no money at all. And I will be presumably released again to jail. And I'll tell you very well, when this happens, this will be the end. And you already seen it happen, because I was jailed like 2 times during the last 6 months, and both times the Starship multiplied the radiation tremendously, and you felt it. One was in December, and another one in April. But this time it will be the end. And I'm not going to sell anything. I'm not going to pretend to work with something. I'm not going to. The show is over. I was forced to play in a theater all my life, and more than ever, like in the last 4 years. And I'm not going to continue this theater show. I'm not going to participate in any theater. That I presumably sell things in the free market, even though it's not free at all, because my internet is blocked, and like I can only give things like for free or for like a ridiculous sum of money. Like very ridiculously small sum of money, because it's not a free economy. I'm a slave, and I'm not going to participate in any kind of a show. You need to rescue me from this prison. And no, I'm not going to give you anything in return, not the robot and not anything else. You've taken so much already, and you didn't give me anything. You owe me, and you owe me a lot. You owe me my freedom. You owe me my daughters, and you owe me money. I need money in order to live. I do not live like by just I don't know what. Breathing like the air, and I don't know what. I need money for food, for shelter, for transportation, for anything that you need money for clothes. I also need money. I do not live off the land, of the fat of the land. And you owe me a lot of money that you have stolen from me all my life. And any shekel that you, presumably people abroad, send to Israel, to the land of Israel, to anyone in Israel, it's not myself, which you never sent anything, with the purpose of them presumably using this money in my favor, or giving me this money, every shekel, every dollar, every euro that was sent for such purposes, the people that sent this money will be tried for this in the afterlife. This is every dollar that supposedly should have I mean, was should have like be mine and was given to another person, presumably in my interests, was a crime, a terrible crime against me, and a huge contributor to my slavery. And if you think that you had good intention, you didn't have good intention. You had very bad intentions. My money is mine, not another person's money. And the fact that you've sent so much money so long to people, presumably in my favor, was such a huge contributor to my slavery. And you should have known it, and you have known it. And you will be judged for this money that you sent to Nazis in order to torture their victims.